No dilly-dallying. Because I got Grand Theft Auto to play. Oh, wait, we're live. We're live here at Giant Straight Talk. Here with the Rob, the super dad of them all. If you don't believe me, just check out the mug because it says it all. We're here to talk about Giants. We're here to talk about everything in regards to the draft. I got a surprise topic that I want to talk about with Rob, because I think it's an interesting topic. I think it's an interesting dichotomy of a question that
I like surprises, Tim.
Don't we all like surprises? Don't we all like surprises? Here's this, and you know what? I was gonna kick you out. I was gonna give you a big surprise.
Starting early, huh?
I was starting out. Yeah, Tom. Yeah, is this live? No, Tom. It's Memorex. And those that would know that statement would be because you're old, like me. Yes, of course.
This is the Matrix.
Of course, this is live, Tom. But Rob. First of all, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back. Took a little bit of a vacation. So was gone for a little bit, went down to Florida, saw some family, went out with the kids, stuff like that. So it was good to get away.
Nobody cares.
You're right.
Nobody cares that you could take a vacation.
Yeah, nobody cares. But I still do have like Twitter muted, so I don't get like any notifications on. I have to like open it up. I'll be honest, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
It is kind of nice that you don't have to keep seeing everything. It is nice. It is good. I have right off the bat though, I have this question because I was speaking of Twitter and I was talking to somebody on Twitter yesterday about this, about the NFC East and ranking of the quarterbacks. We got a Giants among them saying Tim and Rob about ranking of the quarterbacks, of the quarterback situation. And you have so many people that are like, Daniel Jones is the third ranked quarterback in the NFC East. Most people go with Hurts, and then they go Dak, and then they go Daniel Jones, and then they go blank with Washington. I brought up the point that I do think Dak is better than Daniel Jones. And statistically, if you look at his career, he's better than Daniel Jones. But I also brought up the fact that most of Dak's bigger accomplishments and bigger seasons is when he had an Ezekiel Elliott in his prime, or Tony Pollard in his prime, which is kind of now. And I think that makes him a better quarterback. And I think when he's not had that steady flow of the running game, that he did not reach the success that he had previously done in past seasons. Now, I'm kind of taking the long way around here, Rob. I kind of think that's the same way with Daniel Jones. Everyone talks about get rid of Saquon Barkley, get rid of that $10 million, use that cap space to go out and get something else. But we all talk about Daniel Jones having his best season as a pro. Yeah. Not even 4,000 yards combined with 22 touchdowns, but that's his best season as a pro. We're not going to get into that. But everyone seems to be missing the point that number 26, the guy you're wearing, also had his best season since his rookie season. And
probably the best season of his career, to be honest, since he's been in the league.
I do think his rookie season was a little bit better season, but because he had more receiving yards, but
he had more total yards. He had
more total yards.
His best rushing season.
Yes, his best rushing season. But do you think, and if you get rid of Saquon Barkley, that you are going to have, and let's say you go with a rookie, let's say you go with Matt, do you think Daniel Jones takes a step back like Dak? Because I have a feeling, like I said, Dak to me is a good quarterback when he's got a great running game. And I kind of have a feeling it may be the same way with Daniel Jones.
I do. I think that the thing with this whole, the Daniel Jones debacle about bringing him back is I don't think that they felt comfortable with bringing back Jones without bringing back Barkley with him. I think it was definitely a double date. It was a twofer for sure. I think if they couldn't get one of those guys back, they more than likely would have probably just tagged Jones as opposed to giving him the long-term deal. I think they wanted to give Jones a long-term deal because that was more, I guess the quarterback obviously is you're more likely to extend a quarterback, giving him a multi-year deal, spreading out money, so on and so forth, where it would have been a head scratcher to give Saquon Barkley a 4 or 5 year deal, spreading out money. It just doesn't make any sense when you look at the history of running backs. So yeah, I do think that if Barkley wasn't here, that it was going to go ahead.
Just keep talking.
Which is, it was definitely.
Don't mind me.
It was. Don't mind the shark. You know,
Don't mind the
baby shark. Do baby shark. No, but I do think that if Barkley wasn't here, I think Jones would take a step back. And I would even go to the point that you were saying about Dak. You know, yeah, he's had good statistical numbers with Zeke and then obviously with Pollard, but it seems like Dak really does well against the teams in his division, mainly us, you know, where he does get a majority of his statistics throughout the year, and just against our division in general. Whereas when he plays teams outside of our division, he tends to struggle a little bit. He doesn't perform as well. So I agree with your assessment there. I think that they're fairly equal, Dak and Jones, in that conversation. Whereas if you don't have a dominant running game, can they pick up the slack? Can they still generate and be effective without having that guy there? And I think, me personally, the answer is no. So if Barkley wasn't here, I definitely think that Jones would have taken a major step back statistically and performance-wise.
And the reason why I was kind of going this direction, and we have Mike Lee saying, bingo, Tim, that is why Saquon is the straw that stirs the drink. The reason why I was asking this question is because they basically said the $12.1 million deal for Saquon Barkley, which was for a 3-year deal. We don't know the guaranteed money that, and this is the other thing. We all talk about Saquon Barkley and how he turned down the deal. We don't know what the guaranteed money was. No one's telling us what the guaranteed money was. But basically, Shane came out and said the clock is reset for this deal for Saquon Barkley. The clock struck midnight. Cinderella left the ball, and they're looking at it like this is a new deal now. And it's looking more and more like he's going to play on the tag, but looks like he potentially may not report to OTAs. He may potentially not report to camp. I mean,
I don't know about that. Barkley doesn't seem like that type of person to me at all. Now, granted, I mean, it's
from his agent. It's not coming from Barkley. It's coming from his agent.
I mean, his agent's probably just saying that just to try to get something going. Personally, I don't think Barkley would do that. Again, I could be wrong on that. He just doesn't seem like he's that type of a person, you know, to do something like that. But it's definitely a possibility, you know, that he could that he could do that. The other thing is too is I think that, you know, when it comes to the agent, they really dropped the ball, to be honest. Like, I think they're really kicking themselves in the ass that they didn't take the deal when they did.
But here's the question. We're saying they dropped the ball, but like I said before, we have no idea what the guaranteed money was.
No, but what I'm talking about is they bet on themselves, right? They thought the running back market was going to be probably better. You know, this is what he was shooting for. This is what he wanted. And then the running back market wasn't very lucrative. You had big guys getting tagged like Josh, like Pollard, that may have generated. And I think those guys probably would have gotten signed before Saquon Barkley because they're a little bit younger. And I think that they would be a little bit more versatile as far as they're useful to other teams. And then you have a very lucrative running back draft where it's very, very deep at the running back position. So they took a chance. And I bet you right now, whatever that offer was, I bet you right now Saquon would take that deal at $12.5 million that he was offered now. Because
let's say this though. Let's say it was a 3-year deal. Let's play devil's advocate here. It was a 3-year deal. Let's say it was 3 years, Super Dad, and it was $12.1 million, but only the first year was guaranteed. Do you take that deal?
Now?
No, then.
No, not then. No, of course not, because he was rolling at that point. It wouldn't make any sense. Now, probably. You know, but now I would.
Well, hindsight is 2020. We can always say that, but you have to look at the way it was in context. If it was a 3-year deal, let's say, because like I said, nobody knows because nobody's saying. Yeah, I have a feeling there was not a lot of guaranteed money in that deal because of the fact that no one's saying anything, and the agent's not going to come out and say anything because the agent's still trying to negotiate in good faith because of the fact, and they also don't want to piss off the Giants, and the Giants aren't going to say anything because they're not going to want themselves to look like they went cheap with Barkley and then spent
you don't think that they tried to structure his deal like how they structured Jones's deal, where maybe they gave him a low hit this year and then gave him the high hit next year, and he didn't want that?
I think as a running back, you don't go more than 3 years. I definitely wouldn't have got more than 3 years for Saquon. but you don't go more than 3 years. And I don't guarantee. And if I'm the Giants, I don't guarantee. No, because look what happened when look what happened when the Cowboys went with Ezekiel Elliott. I hate.
Yeah, but if you structure it right, though, you could get out of it after like what, year 3 or something like that, or maybe after year 2.
Year 3, and you have to look at this though. You can get a Daniel Jones's deal in year 3, let's say, and you can get out after year 3 without a large cap hit.
Well, technically, you can get out of Daniels after year 2. You still got a cap hit, but
$18 million cap hit.
Yeah, which is, I mean, at that point when the cap is the way it's going to be, it might not be a big implication.
You have Dexter Lawrence's contract. You have Andrew Thomas's contract. You have the maturing deals of Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau. So that money that we're talking about may not be like as much.
Yeah, you're right. Touche.
So I mean, but my thing is this: I have a feeling the Giants gave him the $12 million number, but maybe only the first year was guaranteed. So it was kind of more like how they structure in basketball, kind of like it's a 3-year deal, but kind of it's like 1-year deals. It's like 3 1-year deals. And I think kind of what they probably did, because the shelf life of the running back is not going to be offered for a long commitment, because of the fact that, you know, what is the shelf life of a running back? And yes, Michael, and also we forget that there's no 5-year option for Xavier.
Yeah, so McKinney's got to get extended this year.
He's going to get paid too.
I think a running back is like what, 26, 27, you know, is kind of really when they start falling off. Now, yeah, I mean, could he be the unicorn and the exception? Maybe, you know, of course, you know, Walter Payton, but you don't know. But you don't know that. Well, nobody does.
Like I said, I harken back to Sean Alexander, the old running back from the Seattle Seahawks. He had
good player,
1,800 yards, 20-something touchdowns, got paid. Wheels fell off the bus next year.
Yep, wheels fell off.
And I think the Giants are worried about that. Let's run some.
But you don't think that it's based on the type of running back that they are? Like, to me, Sean was a bruiser. Like, he played a physical game, where Barkley is more of an elusive. Barkley doesn't go up there looking for contact. He tries to avoid it. You don't think that plays a factor at all?
I think the running back market plays the factor. I think that's what they're looking. I think they're seeing what running backs are getting. They're seeing the shelf life of a running back, that you can get one in the later rounds, pay maybe $600,000 for a starting running back. You already gave your money to Daniel Jones. That's going to eat up 15.6% of your cap next year. So you have to play the odds. And Mike Lee says that's what DJ lovers can accept. He was talking about the other comment before that he was a straw that stirs a drink. We have Dominic Palmer. Let's go, Big Dom. Saying good morning, Dom. Big Dom saying, Mega Giants 89 says Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. I'm saying he's an average quarterback. But you know what? An average quarterback is better than any type of quarterback that I would ever be in the NFL. So I am envious of anyone that's an average quarterback in the NFL, because at 50 plus years old, I don't think anyone
still have a good head of hair though.
I got
a lot of grays in my hair, man.
Just got a haircut.
You're looking great. You're looking great.
Just got a haircut, so I had to have that out. We got Mr. Alvarez says good against bottom defenses. And that's the other question about Daniel Jones. He played a lot of, you know, we can be nice about it and say he played a lot of inferior defenses.
Played it safe. Yeah, that, and he played safe a lot.
About the quality of the defenses.
Oh, the quality. Yeah, he played.
They played it here. They played it safe. What I find interesting, they played it safe against bad defenses. Wouldn't you? Because like I said, I was at almost all the home games, and I was at the Texans game and the Bears game. That's when you know. That's when you know you're a fucking fan. I'm at the Texans game and the Bears game. Two of the worst teams that I've seen.
That's dedication, Tim.
That's dedication. That's either dedication or royal stupidity. I don't know which one it is yet.
You were probably pre-gaming beforehand.
Oh, of course. Wait, I was pre-gaming.
That's the only reason why I went there.
Pre-gaming last night for September.
You went there for the medium Pepsi and a soft pretzel.
And the worst part is those games we were on the field doing the flag ceremony. So for that game, we had to be there by 8:30 in the morning. So, and I live 2.5 hours away. So it was a nice trip, but they played it safe against bad defenses. This year, 2023, Super Dad, we are going to be going against defenses that are probably going to be a much higher quality than we saw last year.
100%.
And we saw the statistical value of and I'm not picking on Daniel Jones. So all the Daniel Jones lovers that are out there, shut up. I'm not picking on him. I'm making a point here. if you played safe against bad defenses, and you could say, well, look what he did in Minnesota. I think I could have thrown for 120 yards in Minnesota.
I hate that narrative, me and a bunch of the guys throughout the year were talking, always in the Twitter spaces, my buddy Ivan, Sal, all of us. And they were talking about how defenses were playing different this year compared to how they've been playing previous years, where they were playing, two high safeties, they were playing that, don't get beat over the top,
right,
and kind of keeping everything in front, which the previous year in 2021, going into 2022, they weren't playing like that. So there was a lot more big plays, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So when you look at the quality of the defenses that we played, when we went up against decent defenses, we struggled, right? I think that at the time, Jacksonville had a solid defense. Daniel Jones struggled a little bit. And I know he had the touchdown to Darius Slayton, but he almost threw an interception. I think it
did throw an interception. It was called back on a bad penalty.
It was called back. Then he had the one by Devin Lloyd, that was almost intercepted, which I think was a combination of a less of a good defensive play by Devin Lloyd, but still, he almost threw the interception there. Look at the Seattle game, wasn't able to get anything going in the Seattle, and they had a bunch of rookies that were playing in the secondary. Kobe Bryant, Woolen, so they had a lot of young guys playing. And then I'm not going to bring up Philadelphia, but the narrative that I hate
both Philadelphia games.
Yeah, I can't, or Dallas for that matter. But the problem that I have, and that irritates me so much when I talk to people on social media, is they say, they say exactly what you said. Oh, but what about the Minnesota game? Oh, what about the Indianapolis game? Well, Indianapolis was absolutely decimated with injury, and they were tanking at the end of the year, trying to get the highest draft pick that they could possibly get. And the Houston Texans or the Minnesota Vikings, they had one of the worst defenses in football. But yet we give Daniel Jones praise, and his supporters, they give him praise. And again, he had a good season. He's a good quarterback, right? But then you go and you talk about a guy like Jalen Hurts when he threw 4 or 5 touchdowns against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then people say, oh, well, he's playing the Steelers. They're terrible. I mean, what? That irritates me so much, because you'll diminish a quarterback and I think it's strictly because, like people say, like, you bully somebody because they're the people that get bullied are better than the people that bully them.
Right.
It's the same thing when it comes down to like, I think fans watching football, or sports in general. You hate Jalen so bad because he's better than the guy you have.
Well, yeah,
and you'll do anything that you can to diminish him or say he didn't do anything well. And in the same sense, when your quarterback played a similar team as far as statistically, defensively, bad, whatever the case may be, you put him on a pedestal and you praise him up. I can't stand that.
You know what I find even more interesting? That people bother you. People irk you on Twitter. No, I can't believe that. I can't believe anyone on Twitter would say anything that was incorrect.
I just post things now just to be an ass, just to get. I said that 6-11, that 6-11 record next year is going to hit like crack.
Don't stop stealing my shit. Okay, that's my bit. I'm the one that does that on Twitter. Tom says, "Aren't we over the cap?" No, right now we are under the cap by about $3.5 million. If you go by the rule of 51, once the rule of 51 expires, yes, we'll be about $8.5 million over the cap. Everyone talks about you don't need $10 million for the rookie class. You don't need to. Well, technically, you don't. You need about 3.5 to 4 during the rule of 51, because those are the guaranteed contracts. Once you leave the rule of 51, yes, if all your draft choices make the team, those salaries then count against the cap. So people need to remember that. I always love when people say, "You don't know what you're talking about." Oh, okay, I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. Yeah. But that's all right. Let's see what else. Fabian says, "What's up, Big Fab?" His agent will force him to do nothing to do with Bark. Like I said, I have a feeling, like I said, the agent was there a misstep by the agent? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know, because no one's telling us what the guaranteed money is. If we know,
I don't think we're ever going to know until he probably signs a deal, right?
Exactly. We're not going to know. So I can't tell you if there was a misstep. It could have been a bad deal from the Giants' perspective. I personally think that Joe Shane really does not want Saquon Barkley. I think he understands that he needs Saquon Barkley, as we talked about earlier, like with Dak and Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. It makes Saquon a better quarterback. But I don't think he really wants Saquon Barkley, especially if you listen to the comments at the owners' meetings. And I got one thing about the owners' meetings.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this. We didn't have an opportunity to talk about this.
I want to talk about this, and I want to answer a lot of these questions too. Okay. Evidently, Brian Dable opens a beer at 11:30 on the owners' meeting. It doesn't make him a good head coach. Potentially could make him an alcoholic, but it doesn't make him a good head coach. Coaching on the field does. I just love when people are like, well, that's because that's what my head coach does. I don't get it. I'm sorry, Rob. I was reading Twitter after that, like, it made my freaking head hurt. This is the Joe Judge theory all over again. Everyone loved Ben McAdoo after his first season, 11
maybe because of his hair.
Everyone loved him. But as soon as he lost the next year, everyone hated him. And everything that he did irked the entire fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish people
It was happening this year, Tim, with Kafka. It was happening this year with Kafka. People were shitting on Kafka when we were plateauing like this.
Yep.
And then it wasn't until we started doing stuff against the bad teams like Houston and then the Minnesota game where it was like, Kafka, oh my God, no, we need him back. He's a finalist for Arizona. What are we gonna do? And maybe Tierney's gonna be the guy. And oh my, Wake, and we can't lose. Wake is not blitzing. He can't cover. And shut up. I mean, shut up. You guys give me a stomach ache.
You know, I would like to just have a little PSA here. Those comments are brought to you by Rob directly. They have nothing to do or any consideration with New York Giants Straight Talk. While we believe in those that have open and free thoughts, those comments are Rob's directly and not ours.
I'm gonna get put in timeout today. I already know. I
get myself in enough trouble. I don't need your fucking help. Timothy says, hey, Tim, should the Giants trade the 25th, 89th pick for the 24th, first and second? No, I'm already going to say, I don't even need to read the rest.
No, absolutely not.
It's not even a good deal for the Lions. Mike Lee says the Giants can only outbid themselves per once off season. Yeah. I think, here's the thing about the Bark. I think the Giants are playing it smart and they're not outbidding themselves. I think they know what the market is. I think they know what the market dictates. And I think they're doing the right thing. I did a video titled "Are the Giants doing Saquon dirty?" And in some ways, the way he carried this team last year, and you could talk about all the game-winning drives. I'm not going to go through that, but he carried the team this year. You have to be an astute enough fan to recognize that he should get paid.
100%.
You paid Daniel.
You could argue Barkley should have gotten paid before Daniel Jones.
Thank you. You paid Daniel Jones off what he could potentially do in 2023, 2024. You are basically cost-cutting with Saquon Barkley after what he's already proved he can do. And people are like this, though, well, Barkley can't stay healthy. This is Daniel Jones's first healthy year.
Tim, let's call a spade a spade.
Season.
Jones got paid off for 3 games, 2 Vikings games in Indianapolis.
Right. If you want to be
those are the 3 games that he got paid for. Because that's really about it. And again, I'm not taking. Finally, holy crap!
Inside the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark.
That's right. Our shark is in the water.
That's great. That's great.
That's an homage to James Williams, who is not freaking here.
That's a great movie. Great movie.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. I have my morning shark.
That's what she said.
I'm sorry. Just where it looks and where it's going. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
He just got it.
I just got what you said. It's funny. The tip of it is pointing right to your mouth. It's going right in your mouth. If your chair was up a little bit higher, there it is. Yeah, there it is, right on the chin. I'm sorry, I got shark on my chin. Sorry.
I got shark on my chin right now. I'm very sorry. But what are we talking about?
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, this is a PG stream. We're sorry about this.
It's a PG stream because I hear kids in the background, so it's a PG stream. Let's see here. Let's go to Sal real quick. What does Sal have to say? I got a bunch of ones I got to go to. Long-term deals for running backs are the stuff of losing franchises. I think he's right. I think a 3-year deal. I mean, do you think a 3-year deal would have been too long though?
I don't think so. I mean, look, you give a 4-year deal, you get out in year 3, right? Potentially, you have a 3-year deal, you get out after 2 years. I was all for doing a 3-year deal for him. I think if they got a rookie quarterback, I think a 4-year deal would have been better, to give him, help out the rookie for a couple of years and then move on. And at that point, the rookie should be exactly where he needs to be. And as far as a quarterback, but yeah, 3 years, I don't think is more. I think that's perfect.
Sal said the same thing. Tag and move on. Big Fabian says, cannot sign long-term, not a great investment. I agree. Mike Lee also brought up the fact earlier that we mentioned before. McKinney still has no 5th-year options. So you're gonna have to pay him as well. Sal says, yeah, I know, Timothy, that wasn't meant for you. Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know that was. Oh, he was.
There's another Timothy in the chat, I believe.
Another Timothy in the chat. Big Todd says, love Bark, but wear and tear on him tells me he's on the downside of his career. Peak captain. I doubt he'll be back after the season. To your point, Rob, his style of running is not a bruiser.
No, it's not. It's not like Adrian Peterson or a Jerome Bettis or
is he a dancer?
Joe Mixon.
I'm not going to say he's a dancer either, because he does have his moments where he attacks.
He's an elusive guy. He's an elusive
guy. If anything, you can say as you get older, your ability to make the cuts and the moves and the spins and things that you have done, in your earlier seasons may be a little lacking. But I don't think wear and tear is there. Fabian also comes up and says running back market plays a factor. I agree. Mike Lee says best games were either in the dome or below average defenses. Yeah, I mean, I said this before. You know what, Rob? What do you think of the new turf idea? This whole situation with the turf. Now we have the new turf coming in, and I love it.
It's in already. I think it's already been installed.
It's already in, and I believe, isn't it the same turf that they have in Los Angeles for the Rams?
I think a few teams actually have it. I think a few teams actually have it.
I'm only bringing that up because didn't OBJ tear his ACL on that turf?
No, he tore his ACL in New York, I think. It was
in the Super Bowl. OBJ.
Oh, that's right. No, but that wasn't in the Super Bowl. Wasn't in. Was it in Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
They were playing the home game. That's what they said. That was in the home game. But it's the same.
Yeah, then I think it's the same one. Yeah,
I believe it's the same turf.
But the thing with that though is I think there was a lot of reports. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but there was a lot of reports that said that when he got there, he wasn't playing with an ACL anyway because the Browns, fucked up his surgery. So when he got there, he made the decision to continue to play, and it just kind of gave out at that point. I think he pushed it as far as he could possibly push it. I don't know if that's true or not, but
as an old school Giant fan, I remember the Meadowlands, and I remember the turf in the original Giant Stadium. I remember that. And that was like playing on concrete. I have been on that. I was on that field in the Meadowlands, and that they had seen
showing your age, Tim.
Everyone knows my fucking age. They have. That's right, Lombardi. I said magic still lingers in the name, but duels on the ice and the snow. Yeah, I'm old. Get over it. They actually had seams in that turf, and that was probably the worst turf in the entire league. And no one ever complained about injuries. And if you go back and look, and I did a whole video about it, and I became a turf expert and a grass expert. The Giants and the Jets both play in that stadium. But somehow the Giants, because we're Giant fans, the turf affected the Giants more than the Jets, evidently, because they had less injuries. But if you look at it where they ranked in regards to injuries from the home games on that turf, they were in the lower 20s, the Giants. And I just find that interesting that so many people talk about how terrible the turf is. But if you go back and look over the injuries over the last 10 years, they were in the bottom half in the league in reference to injuries on their home field.
I think it's just, I think what I thought about that too. And I know people were upset. Look, there's no question that the field needed to be updated and needed to be changed.
Of course, yeah. Every
but
season, so you should.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think that the Giants just really kind of hit a bad stretch of like bad luck these last few years.
That's what I said.
You know, it's just really just a stretch of bad luck. And listen, that happens. You know, like look at Derrick Rose for the Bulls, right? He was always injured, and he came back, looked good, felt like he was healthy, and then he would get injured again. You know, football. You know, there were people that used to come back. I think LeVar Arrington was a player that was always constantly hurt. JJ Watt, always constantly hurt. He'd come back. It was either an elbow or his knee or a bicep or whatever it is. Accidents happen. I just think it's a stretch of bad luck.
Yep.
And I don't know how accurate this is, but it's the soft tissue injuries really, because I look at like ACL tears, like those are freak accidents. Like that's not like, those are just like what are you going to do?
ACL tears can occur by having your foot stick in the turf.
Correct.
That is actually an accurate assessment. An Achilles tendon, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, is not a turf injury. It's a repetitive stress injury on the tendon itself.
Yeah, from cutting on the grass.
A bad ACL, an ACL tear can be turf related, but a lot of times non-contact injuries, like the one Barkley had in Chicago, are not turf related. To your point, they're just kind of freak.
It was a freak accident. It's the way he stepped and stuff like that. Yeah,
the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't think any of the ACLs that we had, other than Shep's, but I think there was like a doctor that I saw on YouTube that said he probably tore his ACL because of his Achilles injury.
Yeah. Well, actually, that was
the year. Well, I know you had said it, but there's a guy. There was a guy that was like a doctor that did like an update video and kind of like explain what could happen. And then basically your leg or your knee was compensating for his Achilles, and then it just got weak, and then it just kind of snapped. Well, I think the ACL injuries that we had, a lot of them weren't like no contact. It was just like weird situations like Barkley's. It was a weird step. He was trying to avoid somebody. He even talked about it, where he tries to throw somebody all over him or something like that. He's done it so many times before, did it his rookie year, and unfortunately got the ACL injury. I just think it's a stretch of bad luck. I mean, not Dave's. Joe was talking about that they were like down 200% on soft tissue injuries, which right. I think I don't know how accurate that is, but if it is, that's pretty good, because soft tissue injuries are annoying and I think are a little bit more detriment to a team, especially if you're building momentum, than like an ACL tear or something like that, because those are more freakish.
Something that your medical staff can help alleviate or heal.
And I know that was a topic of conversation, like going into this year, was our medical staff. Like, how good are they? This, that, and the third. If we're 200% down on soft tissue injuries,
that's pretty good.
Then that's pretty good. Because look at the injuries that we were talking about. Like, it's either ACLs this past year. Leo had the neck injury, shoulder injury for Barkley, the ankle injury for Jones. I mean, that's really, and then obviously if you want to count McKinney, but that was an accident on a bye week. Right. Other than that, like, we really didn't have like hamstring injuries. We didn't have, like calf injuries. We didn't have like turf toe or something
injuries
like
that were more indicative of someone overtraining or not being cared for the
medical. You did have Aziz has the hamstring injury, but
that's a hamstring. Once you pull a hamstring,
it's always going to be sensitive
the entire season. I want to in a minute. I want to get into
King of the Almost Sack.
I want to talk about Leonard Williams in a few minutes, but I also want to burn through some of these questions because I also want to get into the draft a little bit as well. I'm sorry. Todd Taylor says buy season tickets for the Giants, do manual labor. Tom says I'm sure at least half of the fan base hates Jones. I do think that's true. Mike Lee says it's the homer mentality of the fans. Big Rick comes in with saying, speaking of defense, what's the chances most teams in the league will figure out Daniel Jones is running? I personally think that Daniel Jones' rushing statistics next year will be cut in half.
I do. I agree with that as well.
Of course.
I think it has to.
Right.
Because they're going to have to open up the offense from a passing perspective.
That's where
More.
I'm going. They are going to. You are going to put. It's not going to be Michael Vick-esque where you put a spy.
Yeah.
But you are going to figure. The defenses are going to figure out. You make sure you hold your containment on the outside. You keep a guy in the middle. So Daniel Jones has no option in reference to step forward in the pocket to run.
Correct.
And I think defenses are going to figure that out, and they're going to force the Giants to throw. And they're going to force the Giants to throw. There is going to be no more completing 14 passes behind the line of scrimmage.
No.
There's going to be no
I
more.
mean, you don't go out and trade for Darren Waller. You
that.
don't sign Paris Campbell. You don't bring back Darius Slayton. And then potentially there's rumors about them trading up for JSN or Zay Flowers or something like that, or a Jigba or whatever the case may be. You don't go and get those guys to run the ball and get 700 or 800 yards on the ground. No. I see him having maybe anywhere between like maybe 4 to 550, close to 600 yards on the ground. I expect him to throw for over 4,000 yards.
He had 700 last year, 700 plus. I think
he's gonna throw for like 300. He's gonna probably run for like 200 or 300 less.
I think he's gonna go for at least 200-300 less. But you hope statistically he's gonna throw for 1,000 more yards.
1,000 to 1,500, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't. Well, I'll take 1,000 because that'll crack him over.
Yeah, it's 4. Yeah, you're right. It's 40. Yeah. That's 4,200.
Yeah,
really would have been 44 because if he would have played, he was averaging 200 yards a game, and he's had
exactly
17.
So,
yeah,
I mean, so I think that's what they're going to do, and I think yes, the leagues are going to. The league has all the film now. Has 17 weeks of film on the Giants plus the playoffs plus 2 playoff games. You got 19 weeks of film on the Giants. I think that's a very astute opinion. We have what do we got here? We got the 2 giant goofballs. Of course, if you do not know, I was on the podcast the other day for the 2 giant goofballs. Says we went against bad defenses at the end of the year, which Jones had his best games against. Unfortunately, people remember those games better than the others. Of course they do. They forget about all. You know what? I always say that as the mind eye wanders, as distance becomes, even further from a situation, you see it differently. And that's just the way fans are. Yeah, they're all going to forget that. And also, if you don't know, go subscribe to Giant Goofballs. And also make sure you hit the like button because we're at 28 likes. And I want to throw out there that we have a new partner. It's Aurora VPN, which will have a partner video for Aurora VPN next week. We're also partnering with Mint Mobile for those that do know. And we have the 800 Mint Mobile number ready. Well, it's not 800 number. It is the text number. And if you're an OG Giant member, you get this text number. And you get to send text message to me directly. The phone doesn't ring. It only accepts text messages, but you could send as an OG member, you can send text message to me directly about anything Giant related. Can also I also take topics on how wonderful my hair is. Just what
he does accept foot pictures, ladies and gentlemen. He will take foot pictures.
Let's not Rex Ryan this. Let's not Rex Ryan. Don't make me break the shark back out. Todd says nobody hates Jones. People just don't overpraise him for being an average. That's a great thing. That's a great question. That people don't overpraise him for being an average quarterback and better than expected. He's right. Todd's right. If you are an average quarterback, should we really be like how wonderful you are because you're average?
Yeah.
No, yeah,
no, just be real about it.
I actually understand that. I understand. Jared also says it was a smart move by Shane and a good judgment on the running back market. Either Barkley lowers his expectations or walks. If he walks, I think it's going to be bad unless you have a quality.
It's going to be ugly.
Because imagine this. Imagine they put 7 to 8 in the box and force Jones to throw against a quality secondary, because there are a lot of teams. I don't like predicting the schedule, Rob, until we get through training camp. Because some teams that you think are going to be bad are going to be good. Some things you
suffer injuries, stuff like that.
But if you look at the way their schedule falls right now, they're playing a lot of good teams next year.
They are.
A lot of good defenses.
They are.
And a lot of these teams could get better for the draft, and like I said, because of injuries, like it get worse. But I have this feeling that you're going to put 7, 8 in the box. Stop, and this if you don't have Barkley, stop the running game, and
force Daniel Jones to win the game for you.
And as much as I like the Walla Waller trade, He hasn't played in 2 years, healthy in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this. I don't know if I talked about this with you. It came out that the player that Derek Carr was talking about that basically quit on the team and probably could have played was Waller. I mean, that's not a that's not a great look. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. So I just hope that the Giants are.
That was the one he was talking about with his press conference, right?
Yeah. It was Waller. So that was one of everyone talks about the wedding. McDaniels didn't get invited to the wedding. Well, no, it turned out that some people in the organization think he quit. He got his money and he probably could. It's kind of like the smooth sounds of Kenny G.
Gentlemen, was bring.
No.
It's Daniel Jones.
No. What's yours?
I don't know where the hell the button is.
Figure it out, Tim.
There we go.
Bringing you the smooth sounds of Kenny G.
Plus, I can drink some water.
72 million. Not worth it. As
We
you
have to.
can plainly see.
Of course, we're retiring the Kenny G sound effects. But there was rumors in Detroit that Kenny G could have came back from his hip pointer, that he could have played, that he was tanking it because of the fact that he was trying to get his payday. Now, I'm not going to say Waller's going to do that. I'm not saying he's going to miss any time. I'm not saying any of that. All I am saying is the fact that he hasn't played, he hasn't been healthy in 2 seasons, and you have a very good quarterback coming out and saying he quit on the team.
That makes me nervous a little bit because what if Waller comes out here this year because he's got no guaranteed money next year,
right?
So they could after this year they could cut him and they have no ties to him whatsoever. I think he's still under contract technically for another 2 years.
But there's no guaranteed money after.
And he's not going to do that. He's not going to play without any guaranteed money. I could see him coming out here next year, and let's just say he balls out, right? 800-900 yards, whatever the case may be, maybe 1,000. Say he breaks 1,000. And he gets 10 or 13 touchdown passes, 90 receptions, really balls out. They pay him. Because, like, man, this was great. And then the next year, if this is true, because I don't think Derek Carr is going to lie. When he's a man of faith. He doesn't benefit. He wouldn't lie about something like that. And if that's true, I don't want to pay this guy. If that's something that's true, because we're gonna get paid from us, and then if we're struggling or something like that, you're just gonna quit. You're just not gonna try. You're gonna give up. You're
gonna be on the wrong side of it reeks of John Beeson, the former linebacker from the Carolina Panthers, who was an all-world linebacker for the Panthers, was injured a couple seasons in a row, got traded to the Giants midseason. Balled out like there was no tomorrow. It was the second coming of Carl Banks and everyone combined. The Giants paid him next year, and then he got hurt again. And he played like 6 games, and that was it. And the Giants were on the hook for like 2 years of guaranteed money. So I get worried about when you hear some of these things. Do I think it's going to be true? Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But I just kind of agree. OG Knockout says, I agree, but he could have been agreeing to something 23 minutes ago, evidently. Let's just see. Tom says, I want to change the whole offense, but that's impossible. No, we're not going to change the offense. Hurts for real says, what's up, Tim? What's good? Everything's good. It's a good day. It's a little chilly today, though. We got through all the rains and all the tornadoes and stuff, so that's good. Mike Lee says, it is what you have to be done lately mentality. And I do think that's the thing. It really should be, what have you done? I always say it. Like I said, I talked about it a million times, Rob. It really should be, you did that last Sunday. That's great. What are you going to do for me this Sunday?
Yeah.
And
it's a week-to-week basis.
Right. No, go ahead. I'm listening.
No. I would say it's week-to-week. I agree with you.
I was looking for a sound effect because I have my soundboard labeled. But
are you using a Stream Deck?
I am using a Signature Systems 360 instant replay system. It is actually a system from a radio station. But I still can't find it. It has 100 different sound effects on one board, and then it has 50 on another board, and it can have up to 230 hours of sound effects. And I have a sheet that has everything labeled, but I lost the sheet, and I'm too lazy to go put it on the soundboard. So hold on. Everyone just sit there, Rob, entertain yourself for a minute until I find. Here we go.
It was great, huh? Your fastball's up, your curveball's hanging. I'm sure they would have ripped you.
Can't you even let me enjoy the moment?
The moment's over.
Crash Davis, the moment's over. It's what you're doing for me this week, and it's not what you're doing for me next week.
I'm glad it took us 2 minutes for you to find that.
Oh, we had some technical difficulty with Rob because he was being a dick. Have we learned our lesson?
No.
Okay, well, till he learned his lesson, let's see what OG Knockout says. I think that, for those that do not know, I'm looking for a new co-host for the Sunday Giant Show because Rob evidently fell off the planet.
Oh man, I love it. Hey, it's great to be back.
Make sure you
It's
hit
great
the
to be back.
Make sure you hit the like button. This is going to
Indeed.
This is a weekly
Indeed.
Sunday occurrence until Rob gets tired of me and leaves. OG says, I think the Giants are going to be in the right direction. I just am not confident in Daniel Jones. I feel like they made a mistake in paying him. I mean, you can get out in 3 years. I mean, we'll see what happens. Do I think
really?
Two? Well, like I said, that $18 million bugs me a lot. That $18 million dead cap number in year 3. That's a big number to have hanging over your cap space. And I know the cap's going to go up, but like I said, you have the Andrew Thomas contract, you got the Evan Neal contract, you got Xavier Kinney contract, you got the Kayvon Thibodeau contract, you have the Dexter Lawrence contract. I mean,
Could they rework it though? They could probably rework that dead money into like a signing bonus where it doesn't have that big of a cap hit if they were going to move on from him.
No, they would have to keep him to do that,
or trade him. If they could probably work something out if they traded him.
It would depend on how much money the team that they're trading to is going to take up in reference to dead cap space, because some of that space, because it was signed with the Giants, sticks with the Giants.
Yeah.
So it would depend on what they negotiate. Admiral Mutombo, of course, he says listed as captain, but I promoted him. Just got home from church. Well, hope church was well. We have Giants 34 saying, Tim, what's up? I say that. He says, what's up, Tim? But I prefer it my way. OG Knockout. I'm more excited about our defense this year because I believe they will make a big jump. I mean, I love the Bobby Okereke. I love the signing.
Yep.
I
Big
love
fan.
I'm a big fan. I'm glad I can say his name correctly. It took me a while, like Yannick Ngakoue, to say that correctly as well. I do think there is. I mean, we signed the kid from Detroit, Rob. And I don't know if you and I talked about this.
You're talking about Amani?
Yeah. We signed the kid from Detroit to potentially be our CB2, and I've said it somewhere else that this reeks of a Isaac Yiadom, Madre Harper type thing, because of the fact that everything they say about him.
Remember Isaac Yiadom?
Everything
that dude.
I loved Isaac Yiadom. I actually had a show where we tried to raise money on Super Chats to get him a bus ticket to leave, and we raised $1.98. It's one of those things that I get worried that. One of the things, again, I know people in Detroit, and that's why, like I said, I got the news from Kenny G and all that. The biggest problem with this kid is the fact that he is a good press cover corner. That's not the problem. The bad problem is he has no hip fluidity and he has no speed. And the people I talked about in Detroit said that's a bad combination for a press cover corner, because if they get by him, that's it. And with Adoree Jackson on the other side, who's potentially going to be our CB1 again, if teams stay away from let's say it's the right side of the field, where are they going to go?
To him.
They're going to that side. And I just have the Eli Apple, Madre Harper, Isaac Yiadom vibe here that you signed a guy for a veteran minimum. You sign a starter. Same with the Bobby McClain from Washington. You signed a starter to not even average, to veteran minimum contracts. And I understand it's the cap situation, but you are expecting these guys to fill in and step up. I thought they should have brought Julian Love back, only because of the fact that he's a lot younger than Bob. He can do more on the field than Bob. I think that he can do. Yes, he missed the play against Philadelphia 100%. I was at that game. But I think he offered more to the team. He's a guy that had been with the team for an extended period of time. That's another guy you can say potentially he may have misread the market, but he still got $12 million. and he's moving into Seattle, which I think Seattle's actually, if they can figure out if Geno Smith is real, can have another good season.
Yeah.
I get worried that we're signing these guys to veteran minimum contracts and expecting them, or certain fans are expecting them to be. Was that the
that was my wife blowing her nose.
Is that the elephant in the room? Proverbial?
Yeah, the elephant in the room.
Everything. Evidently, there's the elephant or the woolly
That
mammoth.
was my wife blowing her nose.
There's something in the room.
Sorry about that, folks.
That's all right. That's all right. The problem is she made the shark unhappy.
Shark went down.
The shark went downhill. But you have some fans that are expecting these guys at low level league veteran money 1-year contracts to come in, fill in for these positions on the defense. And I worry about that a little bit.
I do too. And the love going to Seattle, I don't see how that really works. You have Kobe Bryant there who was playing safety for them. You had the guy Neal that was playing safety for them. So I don't see where he
slide into the corner spot.
Okay, so then maybe he's going to be like their nickel corner or something like that and whatnot, which is basically what he was drafted as. He was drafted as a nickel corner. I mean, I don't the thing for me, just my opinion with Julian love him, thought he was a great locker room guy. Nothing just jumps out to me with him that was like, man, we have to bring this guy back. You know, when Dane Belton was on the field, I felt Dane Belton did the exact same thing that Julian Love was able to do, tackling, play up in the box, cover if he needed to. I thought Dane Belton had good coverage when he was playing and he knew who he was covering. Maybe Dane Belton can obviously be a good player with a good offseason. Bobby McCain, I think he's a decent player. I think Bobby may end up being the day one starter potentially, unless he gets cut, which I don't think that he would. But I could see Bobby McCain being the day one starter, and then depending on how that's working, they're gonna, put Dane Belton into the mix. But the Amani, I can't pronounce his last name.
I couldn't either.
I gotta look at it. I can pronounce it when I look at it. But I like the signing because of his size. He's 6'2". I think from some of the highlights and tape that I've watched, he does play some pretty good coverage. I think Wink likes him. I think he kind of fits what Wink is looking to do and how he's wanting to do it. Maybe Wink can teach him to open up his stances a little bit more, be a little bit more physical at the line of scrimmage. But I think what they're going to try to do is play that single high safety, maybe with Xavier McKinney over the top, who can run sideline to sideline, and have that box safety in there, which will be, Dane Belton or Bobby McCain or something like that to assist with the run, and then leave your corners on an island, which we know Adoree can do it. Maybe this guy Amani can do it. Who knows?
The problem is you don't pay a guy veteran minimum. If he was such a good, and I'm not picking on the guy, I'm not trying to put him down, but if he was such a good commodity at corner, someone would have picked him up beyond veteran minimum money. And the fact,
but I mean, he had 6 interceptions a year ago, though.
How many interceptions at one time did Antonio Bethea have?
Well, with us,
yeah. Didn't he have?
I don't remember.
I believe he had like 3.
He might have had 3.
And 100 plus tackles. That don't mean that sometimes the ball falls into your hands. I can tell you that for a fact. I remember playing in a game. I turned around once and the ball hit the guy in the head and landed in my hands.
Warrior is how you pronounce his last name.
Ah, there we go. That doesn't mean I was good. It just mean I got lucky. I always talk about it. I had 19 tackles in one game. I don't talk about the 11 I missed.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me ask you this: do you think that dictates them going corner potentially?
I think
their first pick.
I've said it before, I want the kid out of South Carolina. I like Cam Smith. I think he's a guy that you could also probably trade out of the first round, get out of that guaranteed first round money and pick up, and he could be a starter day one. It's going to be some issues for him. But I think if you look at him physically and look at the competition he played against in South Carolina and how he plays and how physical he is, the only thing about Cam is he's not handsy like our old buddy like our old buddy Eli Apple. He's not as handsy as Eli Apple. His problem is he's overly physical. And I have no problem. People play with as a former safety and linebacker. I can tell you this: certain people play with their hands. It's not a good thing to play with your hands. You could get away with it in college, but if you're playing with your hands in the pros and you don't know where to put your hands and you don't know when to let go, you're going to get flagged. And Isaac Yiadom, he's the king of the flags. He's the king of the penalties. And, someone gets by, he just grabs them. You can teach someone not to be overly physical. You can teach someone, say, hey, listen, when the play is over or when this is happening, you let up. And this is what you need to do. But when you reach that point, like I said, when you play with your hands, you have been playing with your hands since Pop Warner. It's not something you just arbitrarily started doing. And I kind of think, with Cam Smith, you could take the physicality out of him, not the aggression, but just say, hey, listen, sometimes, every hit's not a knockout.
You think more like holding penalties by Cam? Because he's getting beat, maybe?
I think there's going to be more of
illegal contact,
hitting when the play's over. I think there's going to be more physicality issues in regards to that. And I do think it'll be something he can learn out. Let's grab that Suto super chat because we always got to make sure we acknowledge super chats because super chats all go to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. We all know it's the Tuto super chat. Massive salutes and respect to the big boss, Tim and Robbie, the Irish Rover, and all the diehard Giant fans in the building, slapping them stinky loser boys out the freaking door. Forget about it. He didn't write that part, but he always used to write that part. I just like saying that. Because I always thought, we got a lot of people in here I got to acknowledge. I got Razzle the Great. I got Mega Giants. God damn, Rob, we're behind.
We are behind. Speed it up, Tim.
I'm trying.
Rapido.
That's what she said.
I'm trying. Let's see here. Let me see, Kenny. We're gonna burn through. Okay, we got running marketplace a factor. Let's try to get through some of these questions. The Homer mentality. Speaking of the defense, let's see here. We got Jared's questions. Let's see here. We got. All right, we'll start from here. Hirsch. No, we got Hirsch for real in there. Hey, Hirsch. We got Matumbo in from church. What's going on, Admiral? Bobby Okereke above. Oh, here's a good question, real quick. Bobby Okereke above or below 120 tackles?
Above.
I think above. I think he's going to do 140.
I think 150.
Wow. You're a nice guy. Mike Lee says they don't hit in preseason practice like the Parcells days. No, they don't. I have been at a Giant practice I was still in high school in 86. And it was it was actually a December practice. And we had the opportunity and the Giants used to practice on the field in the Meadowlands. That was their practice field. They didn't have the dome. Everyone, if it's 20 degrees, Parcells had them on there. And Parcells used to, there was times at Parcells you would just have these guys lay into each other, like on a Thursday. And it was a Thursday when I went. And it's amazing that nowadays you can't even think about that. I remember in high school and college putting on the pads in July for summer practice. People can't do that anymore. I remember doing that in Pop Warner. You can't do that anymore, though. That's Whittams might get hot, and I think that's a lot of times. I think that's a lot of times what we have when we talk about the turf injuries. I mean, do you think though?
I think that's why we have a lot of injuries nowadays.
I was going to say, do you think that the lack of physicality and the lack of hitting is what's causing? I personally think that. So I kind of think you.
I think so. I think that's exactly what it is. I think the lack of hitting. The lack of contact, getting your body ready throughout the course of training camp, and then preseason stuff like that. I think a lot of people's bodies aren't ready. So I think it's taking a toll. Personally,
I agree. We also have Tom says I'm all for upgrading the turf, no matter what, because we know what once we upgraded the turf, what disappeared? Turf monster smash. The turf monster is now gone. Alan Howard says, "What's up, Tim? We got the Irish Rover coming in the chat saying, good morning, chat. Good morning, Tim. It was morning by the time that he put this response up. We got Big David saying, I would say he is below average. That could be about anybody. That's how far behind we are. Jason says, how does DJ beat the Cowboys? He's never done it. And how does DJ beat Hurts and the Philly run? This kind of goes back a little bit, Rob, to I think in a lot of ways to the corner situation. I don't think it's just going to be about DJ. Can you imagine going into Philadelphia with Adoree Jackson, who we hope stays healthy, and a corner that is a press cover corner who has no makeup speed and has the tendencies of getting burned?
I mean, I'll be very, I mean, to be honest with you guys, when it comes down to, the Dallas game and the Philadelphia game, it's really going to have to be a defensive game. The defense is going to have to step up and control and keep the scoring down. What I will say is the two games that we went and we played against Philadelphia, we got behind fast. We got behind early. The defenses are going to have to be able to go ahead and get pressure on the quarterback and keep the games close. Dallas, same thing. Like, we kept the games close for a little bit, and then, but at that point, that's more of like I think Dallas is more of like a balance. Like, especially against Thanksgiving, the defense, even with the backups, was doing a decent job for the first half. Second half came along, and the offense couldn't sustain any drives. Defense was going out onto the field. So DJ has to be able to sustain the drives against Dallas, because I think that their offense is going to give you opportunities to get the ball back, but you need to capitalize on their defense and sustain those drives. And that's where it's kind of at. So fully defensive game against Philadelphia, I would say more of an offensive game against Dallas. You have to be able to take advantage and get the better on their defense.
I agree. We're gonna go a 2 for 2 for Jason here. Shane really screwed y'all. You're basically betting on Dable turning Daniel Jones into Josh Allen, which is pretty dumb. I don't think he's doing that, but I think he's trying to make him his own guy. We also have no need to pay him. He's now Waller only. I'm assuming that's about Waller. That's only guaranteed money for year one. The other 2 years are non-guaranteed money. Irish Order says, Tim, find that damn sheet. Yes, I am making, and I have to get to the super chats in a second. I am making a commitment to you guys. And I'm making a commitment to Rob right now. Well, maybe not Rob. I really don't like him that much. I'm making a commitment right now.
Married, Tim.
Shut up. Nobody likes you. Everyone comes here for me. I am going to be more professional starting next week. And
next week.
Because shut up. It's not going to happen. I have been talking about labeling my soundboard for a year and a half. I just say this every once in a while, so people are like, wow, Tim's going to be more professional next week. Way to ruin it, Rob. Sorry.
Listen, I just call it like I see it,
Listen, man, if I need someone to ruin something, I'll just bring Dom back on.
Yeah, but you can't ruin it like I can. I'm a professional. I'm a professional at it.
You're a professional, right?
I am a professional ruiner.
We got Chris dropping into the big super chat. Of course, all super
Chris.
We all go to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. I think Tim needs to have an entire show where he presses every single button on the soundboard, just labeled that Rob reacts to each one. Here ye. It's Daniel. What's your
you can't keep me cooped up in here, okay?
Hail to the king.
I have two to say I am I
Make
that breaks.
your
what? Are you a big? But that's okay. Doesn't anyone think you go get?
draft bet? I find what is wrong
Inside the
That's what she said.
That was for you, Chris. Sorry. I just had to. He told me to.
Have a good day, guys.
He told me to. Tuto says, Tim, please don't waste your time listening to all the turf BS, fake stories. It's all about correct training, conditioning, strengthening, nutrition. Speaking of experience and knowledge, firsthand living proof. I agree. I do think there is some validity to certain turf issues. I think, like I said, if you go back to the old stadium in the 80s, they had seams in the turf. You literally could, because the way they rolled the turf out in the Meadowlands, it literally was like these 10-yard sections, and there were seams in the turf. And a lot of times, Chicago Soldier Field had the same issue, and there were injuries that were caused by these seams. It's like stepping on a sprinkler in the outfield in baseball. it does happen. So I mean, I don't think all of it's not turf related. Oh, Jose G. I see Jose G here, and I gotta get your bar too. Jose G says, with all the first year 1-year deals, Joe is giving an out to not to affect next year's cap. I have a surprise if they draft a quarterback somewhere in the draft, maybe Hendon Hooker in the second. Do you think they take a quarterback, Rob?
I do, and I think
you already told me you were married.
That's what she said.
Yeah, true. I think I am starting to think that it's a little bit more of a possibility that Joe Schoen is going to trade out of the first round and trade pick 25, depending on who's there and who's available. I'm leaning that way a little bit more than I was, say, a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, because I think that there's more value and I think he wants to acquire more assets. If he's able to do that, like I was on a draft simulator and I got I think it was a first round in 2024 and then a second round this year. I think if they're able to get another second round pick, where they would have like 2 or even 3 second round picks, I do think that there's a chance that they would take a quarterback in the second round, and it would be Hendon Hooker, or maybe even in the early third round if they can get an early third round pick. I do. If not that high, I do think that they will take one in the later rounds, maybe like a Cunningham or like a Tanner, something along those lines. But I do expect them to take a quarterback, a young quarterback or a developmental quarterback in this draft to at least be a good quality backup, because I don't think that they feel that Tyrod's going to be here forever.
Yeah, I think Tyrod's last year is this year.
Yeah, and I think so. I think they're going to want to have somebody in that could basically play Tyrod's role, but be younger and basically be a mimic as far as what Daniel Jones is. And here's the thing. If they go after a guy like Hendon Hooker and Daniel Jones kind of shits the bed, and it's just, or the experiment doesn't go the way that they want, now they've got a quarterback that they can turn to. Yes, I know he'll be like 26 or 27 years old, but at least they have a guy that they can turn to for a year or two to hold down the fort that's on a low cap number while they look into their possibilities. So I do see it happening. Just maybe, if not in the beginning rounds, in the later rounds.
I will say this for everyone else, because everyone knows all super chats go to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. The next $9.99 super chat, I will push the other 50 buttons, because there is 100.
You have more.
There is 148. I will push the next 150 for that $9.99 super chat for the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. I like Hendon Hooker. Everybody knows that. According to the NFL draft card in reference to value, the Giants' 25th pick maybe would be a 2 and a 5. I mean, you would have to find someone that's going to be probably a low, you'd probably be looking at a 30th pick or 31st pick if you went and got a 2024 first rounder. And even then your value was like a 1 and a 7. Good Jeff. OGR Sports. You know what, OGR? Everyone hates you right now, but I love you, bro.
He didn't fall.
And I'm not your bra.
No.
Man. Fuck you!
I need your help.
Great movie.
IQ's just who you see today.
I find your lack of faith.
What's in the box?
I love that one.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
I need your help.
Little hand says it's time to rock and roll.
What you just...
Who are you then?
Well, boo fucking who?
Money talks. The ability.
I don't know what the fuck you just said, little kid.
So what I got to say, you really...
Oh, you know what?
Let's roll!
I'm not
Billy Bob.
superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
You can do it!
I love this one too.
Oh, no! We suck again!
It was great, huh?
Autobots.
Roll
out.
This is gonna take...
Great moments.
A huge problem on the O-line.
I'm Johnny Wishbone.
Telling me there's a chance.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
And that's the perfect one to end it on. And we got the Irish Rover dropping in another. Oh my God. I would like to say that I would like to thank Rob for coming in evidently for his farewell episode. he made it to 2 episodes. And then he just
unbelievable.
Found
unbelievable.
There's something very wrong here.
Something you didn't tell me, Tim.
Listen, if you don't watch,
you left this part out.
You left this.
You left this out.
Thank you for the $10 super chat, Mr. Irish Rover. The does that do not know, Irish Rover he actually came to I'm not gonna say from where, but he flew in to go to a Giant game with me. So, because a lot of times during the season, what we do, Rob, is we take subscribers to the Giant game. So we pick, so I always tell you what dates I have open. If you're available to come in, then you fly in or you drive in or wherever you do. And he actually was nice enough to fly in from a very good distance away, not as far as the Dahmer, who flew all the way in from the UK. So we were, we went to the game, we sat in the coaches club, we went on the field, we had a great time. But then after that, towards the end of the season, he made a very large donation. And normally I usually give the super chats to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. What we were doing, though, at that point in time, we were trying to build up a nest egg so I could take fans again to the coaches club. But the tickets fell through. So we made a donation from his chat to the Wounded Warrior Project. I'm not going to say his father's name, in his father's name. So I just want to acknowledge and thank again Irish Rover for that chat. For not only for chat, but from everything that he did before and the donation he made. And like I said, we just thought it was we just thought it was fitting that we took that money, and because Mr. Rover is a veteran, so we just wanted to
thank you for your service.
And I believe his father's a veteran also, so we just thought it was fitting to take that money and roll it over to the Wounded Warrior Project. So I know that was awesome. I don't know it's a long story short, but I just wanted to bring that. Make sure you also like the video when you're coming into the room, please. My gosh, let's see here. We already read that super chat. We already read that super chat. We got Razzle the Great saying, honestly, DJ surprises people with his play. This coming season, he'll be better than his past seasons for sure. I'm hoping.
I'm hoping too.
I'm hoping.
And if my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike.
Okay, we all know now the comedy should be left to the experts. Giants 34 says, Tim, why are some of the fans excited about the season? We've run the same type of weapons we had on the team. We are now have a better competition. They're gonna kill us with DJ at quarterback. Here's a good question. I know I talked about this, I think, on one of your what do they call when you do that thing on Twitter? What is that called?
Twitter Spaces.
Twitter Spaces. Rob also, if you do not know, and follow RZeroB on the real RZeroB on Twitter. He does Twitter Spaces. Where you basically, it's like Twitter radio, I call it. And I think we talked about this. I think we talked about this briefly on one of your Twitter Spaces. The Giants fans base, and not all of them, some of them, spoke to the fact that Daniel Jones had no weapons. He had no weapons.
Yes.
They then proceeded to bring back every wide receiver except for Richie James and Saquon Barkley. How can you sit there and say you have no weapons, but then you turn around and bring back all the guys from last year into Giants 34 points?
But they let go of Marcus Johnson. They didn't bring him back.
Well, you're right.
I mean, he's the only one. He's the only one that's not. Him and Richie James are the only one that's not back. He don't even count. David Sills is on the damn practice squad.
Again, the dangerous David Sills is back on the practice squad.
Sills Army.
I've gotten in so much trouble over the last 3 years because of David Sills, because of the fact that I don't like him, and I kept saying he's just not a good player. But I mean, you got Waller, and you got Campbell.
Yep.
And so basically it's the same guys outside of two, and Waller is coming off 2 seasons of injuries, and Campbell, last year was his first healthy season in the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, should to Giants 34's point, should the Giant fan base expect more now from Daniel Jones because of the fact that he has basically the same weapons but going up against much heavier competition?
I mean, you should expect more because he's making $40 million a year. I mean, You know, like
And that's where I was going.
Listen, he is. Listen. You guys got to understand something, and this is what I don't get. Okay, is everybody in their mother was complaining about these weapons, and the excuse when talking about Daniel Jones that people love to give is, well, clearly Joe Shane and Brian Daboll value and view Daniel Jones differently than you do. Well, clearly they view these weapons different too, because they brought everybody back except for Richie James, who I assume is probably going to be back in some capacity. I bet.
I could see him coming back on a team-friendly deal.
I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it. And Marcus Johnson, who was a practice squad guy that moved up due to injury. Okay, so they brought back all of these guys, and they added Paris Campbell, and they added Waller. Now, Waller, yes, he hasn't had any major injuries. He's had, I guess you could say, those soft tissue injuries that we've cut down on, so maybe he could remain healthy. But now there's reports about him quitting on his team. And Paris Campbell, since he came out of Ohio State, finally completed his first full season. What is he going to be? My whole thing is, if you sign Paris Campbell, why bring back Darius Slayton? It doesn't make any sense. I think Paris Campbell has the skill set to do exactly what Darius Slayton did, and you could have went into the draft and drafted a guy in the 3rd round or the 4th round or even the 5th round to potentially give you the same type of production that you got from Darius Slayton. Let me remind you guys, Darius Slayton caught 46 catches for 734 yards and 3 touchdown passes. That's it.
And he didn't play for a third of the basically.
And he didn't play for 4 weeks. He didn't play for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So, listen, your quarterback, the quarterback is making $40 million. $40 million.
I'm sorry. Who is again?
The quarterback.
It's my quarterback. And if you guys do that, man, it's unfair.
Okay? And you're damn right it's unfair that the quarterback is getting $40 million, but he is. So now it is up to him to prove his worth. He better show out and show up. Yep. He better do it, because if he don't, he looks like an idiot, a waste of money. Shane looks like a clown, which that's already going around. And guess what this fan base is going to do next year? Guess who they're going to go after first if he's not producing? They're going to go after Mike Kafka again.
Yep.
Again. They will go after Kafka. And then when they're done with Kafka and Kafka's gone, guess who's up next? Brian Daboll. Hey, Brian, I can hear it now. Hey, Dabes, maybe you should stop smoking cigars and focus more on coaching this team better. Maybe you should stop having Daniel Jones by the pool and going out there and everything, and maybe you should try to be a better coach. I can already see it happening. It's coming.
It's coming. And we for $5.99 super chat for the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. I have 2 additional buttons I just found. And honestly, I don't even know what the hell they do, because they're on the other soundboard. They are on the roadie. I have another 60 buttons on the roadie too. So, but I just found another 3 buttons. Irish River says, thanks, Tim. Thanks, Robs. And thank you, Tuto. What does Big Jonathan have to come in and say? Isn't Slayton bigger than Campbell? Slayton is bigger. Slayton's over 6 feet.
Slayton is 6'2". I think Campbell is 6'1".
Yeah. Is Campbell 6'1"? I thought Campbell.
I think he is 6'1".
Oh, you know, we forgot the kid. We got not even a kid.
Colin Johnson.
Colin Johnson. No.
He's still Colin is still under.
What's his name? Crowder. Damn, I can't.
Jamison Crowder. Crowder.
We forgot Jamison Crowder.
Who's 5'9".
We'll give him 5'9".
He's 6 foot. He's 6 feet. Paris Campbell is 6 feet.
Okay, I wasn't sure what the size Paris Campbell was.
He's 2 inches. He's 2 inches shorter, but he plays. When you look at how Paris Campbell played in college and how he played last year, he plays bigger than what he is. Right. He goes up and he gets the ball at its highest point at 6 feet. Darius Slayton struggles to do that.
He does.
So,
we ran a little long today. We usually only go about an hour on Sundays, because Sunday is fun day, and we Rob and I both have family, so we got to do family stuff. But as always, we like to close out the show with a final thought. Make sure you get up to at least 50 likes. We're at 43 right now. It does help the channel. I also want to thank Aurora VPN, who's going to be having their new partner video out next week, and of course Mint Mobile as well. So make sure you go to Mint Mobile. The link is, I forget what the link is. The link is mintmobile.com/Big Blue if you want to try their service. Their service is awesome. Service is great, and they are going to be using the OG chat phone from Mint Mobile. So make sure you handle that. Those are that. But Rob, the draft is coming up quickly. The draft is coming up soon. We're going to do a draft party as always. I don't know if you're doing something on your channel or whether you're going to be joining us for the draft extravaganza, which we do. We do the entire.
When is the draft?
April 20 something.
April 20, I think, was it the 22nd or the 27th?
For some reason I want to keep saying the 23rd. It's a Thursday. Is it the 27th? 27th.
Yeah, that's a Thursday.
I got it on my calendar. So if you do join us, we'll probably be bringing in the Dahmer, who will be up at like 4 a.m. to do the draft, and a bunch of other people we have coming in as well. So you're always invited. We got to get to I got to get to JoeReB real quick here before I get Rob's final. So don't forget about the Wandell. I keep saying Wandell's not coming back till midseason. Minimum. We got Mr. Belfort saying, damn, the truth really hurts. Hope for our sakes that's not the case.
I think Wandell will be back by October.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think he'd be back before midseason.
Oh, I thought you said midseason. Were you shocked that Shep was already running? Shep's already sprinting. Good for him.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this. Running straight after an ACL means nothing. I'm going to tell you, they make you within, and this was going back to the early 90s when I had both of mine. Within the first week of the surgery, you're on the bike. You're riding. You're going. So, and if you're done right, within 3 to 4 weeks, you're off crutches. So no, I'm not. It's when you have to make what they refer to as the football move is when you need to be more concerned about things. That's like when everyone kept telling me Odell was coming back in December of last year. I'm like, he's like 6 months removed from surgery. He's running. He's not doing things that you would do on the football field. He wasn't coming back.
Your quick thoughts on the fact that we're still involved with that?
We're not involved with that. The fans are involved with that.
John
Mayer is involved with that. I don't think Shane or Dable are involved with that whatsoever. I think it's the Mara wish, like the Eli Manning contract that he overpaid on. I do think that some people are right. I do think the hand of Mara was involved in the Daniel Jones contract. He's the owner, of course it would be. But let's just run through this. It's let's just, you know what, we're gonna close this out. Thanks for JoeReB and Mr. Belfort coming in late, because you know what, we're leaving the party.
Welcome to the party, pal.
As always, we have Rob close it, and we're gonna have a sound effect, and we're gonna have a label for this. It's Rob's final thoughts.
No, listen, final thoughts are one, appreciate everybody coming through, showing some love today. Make sure that you guys, we're at 45 likes. Make sure you guys get it up to 50 or else. All right. Or we're not coming. You won't see us next week. I'm serious. So we won't do it. So that's first thing. Second thing, listen, so far, all we can do is hope and see what happens with the draft. If they're not bringing in another wide receiver, which they have 10 now, they're going to try to add another one. I personally, the way I'm looking at it, would love to see them move back and acquire more draft capital, especially if things go south with Daniel Jones this year. Potentially, it'll give them more picks and more ammunition to go ahead and potentially use those to package those to move up in next year's draft. But it's going to be interesting. I want them to go and get a center in the draft. Keep an eye on. I know that they like Joe Tippmann from Wisconsin. I can't pronounce his name. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but he's from Michigan. I think Owatumi. I think that's how you pronounce his name. The center from Michigan. Also, really, really good player. I did not know this. Joe Tippmann is 6'7". That is a big man.
did a video about the centers about 2 weeks ago, and I spoke about that there is a lot of scuttlebutt going on about him that he will be shifted.
I order the code red.
You're
goddamn right, I did.
That he will be moved to tackle. And Rob, if you're gonna do it right,
Did you order the code red?
I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did.
Mr. Belfort knows we have that sound effect on the board. It's number 6.
So you think they're gonna move him to tackle?
There's talk that teams will be moving him to tackle because of his size, that he would be one of the largest or tallest centers in the history of the NFL. I'm only saying that because you think about this, and we don't have a short quarterback, but think about this. You go back to pass. Your center goes back into his stance. He's pass blocking. How are you going to
see like right in front of you?
Your quarterback's 6'4".
Because if you're doing RPOs, well, Daniel's 6'5".
I know, but I'm just
yeah. But I'm saying if you're doing your RPOs, you're talking like the RPO is basically like right over the center's head, pretty much.
Right.
Like you're gonna boing, boing, like like it's
you're Kyler Murray. You're 4'8". I mean,
it's not. I really like the kid from Michigan. Owatumi, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I really, really like him. I think he could be a really, really good center, really good piece. Every report that I've read says that he learns very, very quickly, picks up on stuff very, very well. So I think that would be a good fit. I think that Ben Bredesen is probably going to go in being probably the starting center with whoever we draft in this year's draft as the backup. I hope it's not Shane Lemieux starting at center because God help us, please. I hope it's not Shane Lemieux. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the draft, what trades that they make. What do they do with that 25th pick? Do they move back? Do they take somebody? Do they move up? Or do they find a trade partner for a wide receiver? So it's going to be interesting to see. But that's pretty much all I got. At this point, I got nothing else to really complain about. I just got to buckle my, tighten up my underwear, put my socks on, buckle my seatbelt, and go along for the ride.
Because you know what? We've talked about this before, and I want to thank Rob.
I feel like you have a sound alert coming.
I don't have a sound alert because you see me scrolling through the board. Everyone,
yeah, I do. I see you're looking for something.
I'm looking for something because I don't know why.
Are you a big man? Huh? I'm talking to you. What? You wake up in the morning, you say, I put on my big boy pants. Look, I'm wearing a belt. I got big boy pants on.
Rob Spence to say he's putting his big boy pants on. We got Swing Culture TV coming in and says, right, a center that tall has issues. Of course, if you don't know, Swing Culture TV is he's another YouTuber who's working on this channel. So make sure you go over and take a look at it and subscribe to that. And someone asked me on Twitter, we're going to close this out old school. We're going to close it out OBB style. We're going to go, Big Blue and Rob bring you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment, and we're out of here.